Greetings to all humanity, and beware. We are about to resurrect from under the rock of obscurity a soundocopia of spoken word, comedy, and unique musical creations from the world of vinyl records. Harken back with us now to those benighted days when sound was recorded with the carving of an actual physical groove upon gleaming black discs that would become ephemeral forever. Those days have now returned with the Hidden Groove.
Good evening, if that's where your sun is. Tonight, on The Hidden Groove, we present a Das Boot episode. Das Boot! On the Das Boot, we run silent. We run deep. During this episode, I ain't gonna say a damn thing. At the end, I will give you a rundown of all you heard, but other than that, you are on your own. Worry not, true believers. We'll trigger the starting gun with the best timeline tour guide on the planet, Edward R Murrow, telling us about the start of the Cold War. Hey, Ed, what's going on in your world?
The reconversion to peace was not easy. We had a surplus of Sherman tanks, B-17s, K rations, generals, and olive drab material. We had an acute shortage of trains to bring the boys home, a shortage of new cars, washing machines, white shirts, and a worldwide shortage of competent men for the peace table. We also had a nervous ally in Moscow.
While the London Foreign Ministers' Conference was a failure, Molotov pointed out that the Allies had differences during the war and always found the right solution in the end. This was the most hopeful note he struck. Russia believes she did most to win the war and that she should have most to say in making the peace.
That was H.V. Kaltenborn in November of '45. Hank Greenberg changed uniforms in time to help win the World Series for Detroit. They finally gave Cordell Hull the Nobel Peace Prize. But the peacemakers still had work to do in Iran, Indonesia, and Greece. What was to be a 3-month strike was on at General Motors, and people who read books were somewhere between The Lost Weekend and Peace of Mind.
Behind the scenes of the next World War, London. The big three are again in diplomatic convulsions. Russia is insistent upon becoming an African power, which Great Britain will resist to the last ounce of strength. When one lifeline crosses another lifeline, the result is a noose for world peace. Paris. Diplomatic relations between the Vatican and the Kremlin are very, very bad. They will get very, very much worse.
That was Winchell in February. So this was peace. In retrospect now, it seems like a nightmare. In fewer months than it took us to lose Corregidor, we seem to be losing the peace on points. By March, nerve ends were frayed. Andrei Gromyko walked out of the UN for the first time. And on the 5th day of March, the phrase Iron Curtain was born at Westminster College.
From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe. Warsaw, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Belgrade, Bucharest, and Sofia. All these famous cities and the populations around them lie in what I must call the Soviet sphere. And all are subject, in one form or another, not only to Soviet influence, but to a very high and in some cases increasing measure of control from Moscow.
Winston Churchill, no longer Prime Minister, delivered the most startling warning of a startling career.
The population of the English-speaking Commonwealth be added to that of the United States, with all that such cooperation implies, in the air, on the sea, all over the globe, if all British moral and material forces and convictions are joined with your own in fraternal association, the high roads of the future will be clear, not only for us, but for all, not only for our time, but for a century to come.
We take you now to Operation Crossroads.
Albert Einstein had said, Against an atomic explosion, there is no real defense, and most other scientists had agreed with him. On June 30th, 46, we exploded the new bomb over Bikini Lagoon to determine what it could do and what human beings could do to protect themselves against it.
Firing time, 20 seconds. We do not know how it's going to sound, but 42,000 men here are watching, tensely awaiting that explosion. Firing time, all of the observer ships. 10 seconds. All of the observer ships are in position in the open sea. We're about 10 miles away. I 5 see seconds. The target. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Listen.
Hey! Hey! George! Where the hell is everybody? I'll give you bastards 5 to come out from wherever you're hiding! George! George! Clink. 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 Clink.
My God, you've gone crazy too.
Clink.
I said you've gone crazy too.
Probably.
You've all gone crazy. I come downstairs and what happens?
What happens?
My wife's in the can with the liquor bottle and she winks at me. Winks at me.
She's never winked at you. What a shame.
She's lying down on the floor, the tiles all curled up. And she starts peeling the label on the liquor bottle, the brandy bottle.
Maybe she'd be more comfortable in the tub.
And I ask her what she's doing, and she goes, shh, nobody knows I'm here. And I come down here, and you're stumbling around, going clink, for God's sake. Clink.
Clink.
You've all gone crazy.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Where is your husband?
He is vanished. Poof!
You're all crazy. Nuts.
Ah, 'tis the refuge we take when the unreality of the world sits too heavy on our tiny heads. Relax. Sink into it. You're no better than anybody else.
I think I am.
Well, you're certainly a flop in some departments.
What'd you say?
I said you certainly are a flop in some departments.
I'm sorry you're disappointed. Maybe sometime when I've been drinking for 10 hours.
Baby, you sure are a flop.
Boy, you're something. You know that? I mean, you're really something. Boy, you know, to you, everybody's a flop. Your husband's a flop. I'm a flop.
You're all flops. I am the Earth Mother, and you are all flops. You are
placidly amid the noise and waste, and remember what comfort there may be in owning a piece thereof. Avoid quiet and passive persons unless you are in need of sleep. Rotate your tires. Speak glowingly of those greater than yourself.
and heed well their advice, even though they be turkeys. Know what to kiss, and when. Consider that 2 wrongs never make a right, but that 3 do. Wherever possible, put people on hold. Be comforted that in the face of all aridity and disillusionment, and despite the changing fortunes of time, there is always a big future in computer maintenance.
You are a fluke of the universe. You have no right to be here. And when we can hear it out, the universe is nothing behind your back.
Remember the Pueblo. Strive at all times to bend, fold, spindle, and mutilate. Know yourself. If you need help, call the FBI. Exercise caution in your daily affairs, especially with those persons closest to you. That lemon on your left, for instance. Be assured that a walk through the ocean of most souls would scarcely get your feet wet. Fall not in love, therefore. It will stick to your face. Gracefully surrender the things of youth, birds, clean air, tuna, Taiwan, and let not the sands of time get in your lunch. Hire people with hooks. For a good time, call 606-4311. Ask for Ken. Take heart amid the deepening gloom that your dog is finally getting enough cheese, and reflect that whatever misfortune may be your lot, it could only be worse in Milwaukee.
You are a fluke of the universe.
You are a fluke of the universe. You have no right to be here. And whether you can hear it or not, the universe is laughing behind your back. Therefore, make peace with your God, whatever you conceive him to be, hairy thunderer or cosmic muffin. With all its hopes, dreams, promises, and urban renewal, the world continues to deteriorate. Give up.
You are a
These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of his country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. 'Tis dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to set a proper price upon its goods. And it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. I once felt all that kind of anger which a man ought to feel against the mean principles that are held by the Tories. A noted one, who kept a tavern at Amboy, was standing at his door with as pretty a child in his hand about 8 or 9 years old as I ever saw. And after speaking his mind as freely as he thought was prudent, finished with this unfatherly expression: "Well, give me peace in my day." Not a man lives on the continent but fully believes that a separation must sometime or other finally take place. And a generous parent would have said, "If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace." And this single reflection, well applied, is sufficient to awaken every man to duty. I call not upon a few, but upon all, not on this state or that state, but on every state. Up and help us, lay your shoulders to the wheel. Better have too much force than too little when so great an object is at stake. Let it be told to the future world that in the depth of winter, when nothing but hope and virtue could survive, that the city and the country, alarmed at one common danger, came forth to meet and to repulse it. It matters not where you live or what rank of life you hold. The evil or the blessing will reach you all. The far and the near, the home counties and the back, the rich and the poor will suffer or rejoice alike. The heart that feels not now is dead. The blood of his children shall curse his cowardice, who shrinks back at a time when a little might have saved the whole and made them happy. I love the man that can smile in trouble, that can gather strength from distress, and grow brave by reflection. 'Tis the business of little minds to shrink. But he whose heart is firm, and whose conscience approves his conduct, will pursue his principles unto death. My own line of reasoning is to myself as straight and clear as a ray of light. Not all the treasures of the world, so far as I believe, could have induced me to support an offensive war, for I think it murder. But if a thief break into my house, burn and destroy my property, and kill or threaten to kill me or those that are in it, am I to suffer it? What signifies it to me whether he who does it is a king or a common man, my countryman or not my countryman, whether it be done by an individual villain or an army of them? Let them call me rebel, and welcome. I feel no concern from it, but I should suffer the misery of devils were I to swear allegiance to one whose character is that of a sottish, stupid, stubborn, worthless, brutish man. I conceive likewise a horrid idea in receiving mercy from a being who at the last day shall be shrieking to the rocks and mountains to cover him, and fleeing with terror from the orphan, the widow, and the slain of America. There are cases which cannot be overdone by language, and this is one. By perseverance and fortitude, we have the prospect of a glorious issue. By cowardice and submission, the sad choice of a variety of evils. A ravaged country, a depopulated city, habitations without safety, and slavery without hope. Look on this picture and weep over it. And if there yet remains one thoughtless wretch who believes it not, let him suffer it unlamented.
What one of us can hear that song and feel untied to the wilderness that was our beginning? To Western man, that cry filling the woods from every side is at once mournful and menacing, yet strangely alluring. While it paralyzes our own movement, we sense behind it the vague form pursuing tirelessly, its ghostly silence broken only by the final snarling leap, the abrupt scream.
You realize that I've been drawing you out on this stuff because you represent a direct threat to me and I want to get the goods on you.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I've warned you. You stand warned.
I stand warned. It's you sneaky types worry me the most, you know. You ineffectual sons of bitches. You're the worst.
Well, I'm glad you don't believe me. After all, you got history on your side.
You got history on your side. I got biology on mine. History, biology.
I know the difference.
You don't act it.
No? I thought we decided you'd take over the history department first before you take over the whole works, you know. One step at a time.
No, what I thought I'd do is I'd sort of insinuate myself generally, you know. Find all the weak spots.
Mm-hmm. Like me.
Become sort of a fact, and then turn into what?
An inevitability?
Exactly. An inevitability. Take over a few courses from the older men. Plow a few pertinent wives.
Now that's it. I mean, you can shove aside all the older men you can find, but until you start plowing pertinent wives, you're really not working. That's the way to power. Plow 'em all.
Yeah.
The way to a man's heart, the wide, inviting avenue to his job is through his wife, and don't you forget it.
And I'll bet you your wife's got the widest, most inviting avenue on the whole damn campus. I mean, her father being president and all.
You bet your historical inevitability.
Yes, sirree. I just better get her off into the bushes right away.
Why, you'd certainly better.
You know, I almost think you're serious.
No, baby, you almost think you're serious, and it scares the hell out of you.
Well, when it comes to frightening people, I'm not very good, but I'm a whiz at encouraging them, and that's what I hope I've done for you. I hope I've encouraged you to be better soldiers on the home front with these little lectures on how to save Olga Coal and to cooperate with your friend, the Olga Coal dealer. Suppose we look at the situation this way. We'd all like to do more to help win the war, so suppose we imagine we're all soldiers and the Olga Coal dealer is the supply sergeant. Well, he's in it along with the rest of us, and he can't give out any more coal than he gets. All he wants to do is equip your coal bin to the best of his ability, and that's what he's doing. He gets gripes from every side, but he's delivering the coal as fast as he gets it, and he's trying to do so in a way that gives everyone his fair share. So don't be too hard on your Olga sergeant, folks. I know none of you envy him, and I know he wants to keep on serving you after the war is won in the manner to which you once were accustomed. So as you sit with your sweaters on and look at that thinly lined coal bin, think of the day when it will all be over. And you can once more take phone in hand and say, I want a whole bin full of that good Olga coal. That's right, the kind spelled O-L-G-A. Well, come on in, Hermit. You haven't even been here, and we've been telling ourselves stories.
Now, that brings us down to taxes. Boy, when you bring us down to taxes, you're going to hear a howl like a pet coon. You know, brings us down there. This money coming from all the government is throwing away. Well, it just sort of looks like it might come. Where is it coming from? Everybody says, where's the money coming from we're spending? Well, I don't know, but just offhand, I'd say it's coming from those that have got it, you know. Now, I don't know. That may be just a rough idea of mine. I don't know. But I kind of believe that's where it's coming from. But the big yell comes nowadays from the taxpayers. I bet you when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock and they had the whole of the American continent, and all they had to do to get an extra 160 acres was shoot another Indian, you know. Well, I bet you anything, they kicked on the price of ammunition, you know. I bet they said, what's this country coming to? You know what I mean? Right, like we're doing now. You know, what's this country coming to? You know, said we have to spend a nickel for powder. Of course, they got the lead back after they dissected the Indian. But, no matter, I don't know, it's funny. No matter what we pay, I don't care whether we pay high taxes, low taxes, medium taxes, or no anything. The yell is always the same. Of course, we know our government is costing us more than it's worth, but do you know of any other cheaper government that's running around now? I mean, do you? I mean, if you do, I mean, they'll sell you a ticket there anytime. You can try Russia. There's no income tax in Russia, but there's no income. Now the whole question is, how can we make such a holler on what the government wants to collect back from us, you know? I don't know what it's all about. This is just to kill time up here till something else comes up. I don't know any more about this thing than an economist does, and God knows he don't know anything.
Here, let me get some figures I've been wanting to show you ever since I came.
Charlie made coffee, and they sat down to talk.
These are government figures, son, that prove how hard it is to succeed in life. It says if you ask 100 average young men 25 years old, everyone thinks he's going to be a success someday. But look what happens to them by the time they're 65. 36 of them, it says here, will be dead. 5 will be well off. 5 more will still be trying to earn a living. But 54 of these men, now this is me, son. 54 of these men, more than half of them, will have to depend on others for the food they put in their mouths.
That's what I said. You can't win unless somebody leaves you a fortune or you happen to get a lucky break.
Listen, son, there is a way. The young fellow who gave me these figures, he found it. And there's a man right here in your own town who can tell you about it. I looked it up, and I'll get him to come and talk to you if you'll let me.
The next evening, Dad arranged for a representative to show the Rogers this educational film.
And now, today's news event. Ignore Pepsi's 3-year-old child, Dahlia, astonished the world this morning by giving birth to a full-grown Australian wallaby.
Flash, ladies and gentlemen. President Nixon threw up this afternoon on the steps of the Kremlin just prior to peach talk. He was heard to mumble something about borscht and was suddenly on his knees. Before his bodyguards could assist him, 5 or 6 peasants of undetermined origin stuck several small protest signs on the president with scotch tape.
Flash! A hippie cult living in Norfolk, Virginia have started to glow in the dark. They claim they can turn gold into strawberry jam. Local police say there's nothing they can do.
Mobs of students surrounded State College today. They explained they were anti-Semitic. The tactile unit of the local police mob forced the students to surrender by late this afternoon.
Stop! A Southern California dentist has been eaten by hippies.
Flash. The entire staff of the Pentagon was slipped LSD early this afternoon. They took off all their clothes and marched to Florida to surrender to the Seminoles.
The Pope has finally announced that he has okayed a new birth control device for Roman Catholics. He has instigated a holy war against the Jews and the Muslims alike. Let's clean up Jerusalem once and for all, he said. Then he announced he could fly and jumped out the Vatican window.
Bomb, Japan has just flashed Pearl Bailey.
After the film, the representative explained a plan that would help Marge and Charlie save money. Charlie liked the idea of planned savings, but he had some questions.
But what if we follow your plan? And then in a few years, we need some cash.
Mr. Rogers, to answer your question, let's use our imaginations. Let's pretend that this screen has the magic power to reveal pictures of the future. Your future with Government Personnel Mutual's guaranteed savings plan.
As the representative explained this remarkable plan, Charlie and Marge got an imaginary peek into the future. First, they saw how an unexpected emergency could be handled.
Acquiring marijuana. There are 4 basic methods of acquiring marijuana: buying it, growing it, receiving it as a gift, and stealing it.
Buying marijuana.
Yeah? I'd like a big bottle of root beer, please.
Okay.
And a copy of Playboy.
All right.
And some pistachio nuts.
Yeah.
Could I have a cleaner copy of Playboy, please?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. It's kids.
And a pack of marijuana, please.
Mexican, Vietnamese, or domestic?
Mexican.
Flip top, flat box, soft pack, or bulk?
Take bulk.
All right, that comes to, that'll be $2.15.
$2.15?
Growing marijuana.
Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how doth your garden grow?
Really great where there's no heat, and usually best when I put the seeds about a half-inch underground, water lightly once a week, and hope for the best.
Receiving marijuana as a gift.
Getting grass as a gift is probably the nicest way of all of acquiring it. Here are a number of methods guaranteed to get you free grass.
Be very, very nice to everyone you meet.
Or
look for people who are smoking grass. Go over and stand next to them as quietly as possible and look wistful. If they give you any, be sure to say thank you.
Or
become a narcotics officer.
Or
be a very beautiful girl with large breasts.
And if none of these methods work, then whenever you're taking a walk, look on the ground for rolled up baggies with a rubber band around them.
Stealing marijuana.
Now, here's the main method for acquiring yourself some free grass. You just creep up on someone and go, hey, say what happened? Look up there. And you cop that grass and split.
The effects of marijuana.
The first time a person tries to get stoned, he may not feel any effect whatsoever. Many people, even Methodists, find that after smoking for hours, particularly with good grass, they'll still feel no effect the first 2 or 3 times. For them, we recommend needlepoint, weightlifting, or any of the other traditional methods of reaching nirvana.
I can lift 347 pounds over my head, but still, nobody likes me.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have arrived.
Amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should.
Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness, beyond a wholesome discipline. Be gentle with yourself.
You are a
child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should.
I had a dream myself. I've had this dream. I had it like 3 nights in a row. That means it's true. I don't know if you knew that. You dream of something 3 times in a row. That means it's true. And what it was about, I went to heaven. And the first thing, there's this angel fellow. He didn't have no wings, but I just took it. He must be an angel. He meets me there, you know. And the first thing, he gives me this box. And inside of the box, there's like 3 umbrellas. There's a couple wallets, loose change, a couple gloves in there. And I think, what's this, you know? He says, now that you've lost your life, you get to have back everything that you lost during your life. It's like a lost and found box, is what it is. And it's great, you know, this gives you like a start in heaven. You think people that are so together never lose anything, you know, they're so great. It's like they're really at a disadvantage. When the game's all over, you know, they got a box full of nothing. But I had all of this stuff, you know. And then I'm waiting. I said, well, you know, I'm ready in that. You know, I thought I'm going to be judged, you know, judgment time. And he like smiles, and I know right away, didn't say nothing. I knew what he meant, you know. And it was like, who do you think you are? You know, you're going to go see God. You know, and when you think about it, God, you know, he's so busy. He's got, you know, so much business all over the universe to take care of. God's got like the whole world in his hand. Like the song says, he's got billions and billions of planets. Like Carl Sagan says, you know, he's in charge of the whole ball of wax. So it's pretty busy. And what this guy said to me, he says, you get to see God, but you got to wait 8.5 years for your appointment. 8.5 years. And he says, and you're in a group. There's 10,000 people in my group. And the appointment's like 8 in the morning. You know, I think, God, I hope I don't oversleep for that one. You know, better set 2 alarm clocks. This is my luck, you know, overslept. Oh, no. But the great thing is, you get to stay in heaven till your appointment comes up. And heaven, it was great. I was so impressed. Everything was so big. That was the most amazing thing. They had trees there. I look up, you could not see the tops. It made like redwoods look like toothpicks. Gigantic trees. And I walked down this pathway, and there was like a vineyard. They had grapes the size of oranges. And they had oranges the size of like watermelons. They had watermelons like Volkswagens. Everything, just gigantic. Then this beautiful girl comes up to me. And she had this hair. The hair was like, went down to the ground, then went up into the air. You had to be there, I think, to, you know, really appreciate this, but it was, you know, impressed me, I tell you, you know. And she says to me, my name is Rhonda, and I'm here to help you. I said, all right. You know.
Clothes on, sweetie, baby, longer than you do. Honey, kiss me with your mouth closed, just like you love me and I love you. Now whatever happened to Johnny Mathis? 2 moments when your lips met mine. So in love were we two, we didn't know what to do, and chances were awfully good that love could be so fine. And whatever happened to slow, slow dancing and imagining how heaven could be? Falling in love was wonderful, wonderful. Loving, baby, was a dream fantasy. Honey, touch me with my clothes on, sweetie, baby, longer than you do.
Tonight you heard Edward R. Murrow from his album I Can Hear It Now, 1945 to 1949. A scene from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, the complete film play on record with Elizabeth Taylor and George Segal.Deteriorata, the National Lampoon Radio Hour, 1972. Orson Welles reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. The Language and Music of the Wolves, narrated by Robert Redford, 1971. Another scene from the teleplay Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, this time with Richard Burton and George Segal. A wartime commercial from a 1943 episode of Inner Sanctum for the Olga Coal Company. Will Rogers from a 1960 LP called Will Rogers. Passport to Independence, a filmstrip soundtrack from the Global Something and Loan Insurance Company. A parody of the news from the Congress of Wonders album, Revolting. Another few slides from Passport to Independence and the National Whatever Insurance Company. A Child's Garden of Grass, a pre-legalization comedy from 1971 by Jacobs and Margolis.Desiderata, the classic poster song from the 1970s by Les Crane and Don Novello, performing as Father Guido Sarducci on the promotional LP Excerpts from Breakfast from Heaven, and then closing us out from her 1979 album Live from New York, Gilda Radner. Good night to all you groovers. I hope you know where you are.
Touch me with my clothes.